G'day everyone, congratulations, you found the chapter. Today we're going to be playing some more MTG Arena with Dimir Control. So I put up a few videos with Dimir Control lists and I've been tweaking them and changing them over the weeks, and I've been reluctant to do a proper deck check on it because I haven't found a list that I'm happy with, and being upfront, still haven't found a list that I'm happy with, but I thought I'd just go through what I'm working with at the moment with you guys. So this is a pretty classic control list. We've got a lot of lower end disruption, and then we've got a couple of higher end threats with the aim of closing out the game pretty quickly. So I've got a couple Bloodchief's Thirst, I've got Eliminate, I've got Heartless Act as my removal. Bloodchief's Thirst is really nice. The flexibility on it's good. It can be a little awkward because it's sorcery speed, but because it's often just 1 mana, it's easy to cast it, take something off the board, and keep mana up. The general idea of this deck through the early game is to be playing on your opponent's turn. Most of these 2-drops are instant, most of these 3-drops are instant or have flash, and then later in the game we start casting some more powerful things to take over. That's the general strategy. So what I've been finding is that Ashiok, even though he's really good in some situations, is often pretty awkward. It can be awkward to tap out on turn 5, for example, when your opponent still often has a couple of cards in hand, can often answer it, and sometimes you have this when you need to deal with a Lovestruck Beast, and then a Great Henge comes down and that just takes over the game. He can be really good, but he's quite limited in what he can do and the angles he can attack from. The -3 can be really helpful if your opponents are empty-handed, but they're often not. That's the issue. So I've cut down to 1 Ashiok at the moment. I've got a single Ugin. He's nice to have access to. He's obviously really powerful, but he's really hard to cast. You don't want him till the late game, so that's why there's only a single copy. I feel like these could be something else. You could cut them. And what I find is often my actual win condition is Shark Typhoon. This is really nice in that it's an uncounterable flyer that draws you a card if you cycle it, and sometimes just slapping down hard casting it as the enchantment can get you back into a game where you're falling behind, or just put a game completely out of reach, which is what you want from a finisher in a control deck. And it's also just really flexible. Early mid game you can cycle it, late game slap it as a game breaking enchantment. I'm finding it a lot more effective than any of the planeswalkers available in these colors. So the other thing I found a little bit awkward is Mazemind Tome. I really like this card. It gives life gain to colors that typically don't have a lot of access to that. But because the rest of our game plan, especially in the early turns, is to hold mana open and play on our opponent's turn and respond, this can be really awkward. Like, you often don't want to tap out on turn 2 or even turn 3 or turn 4. You want to be holding up your Neutralize or your Essence Scatter or your Heartless Act. So I've actually cut this from my next version of the deck. It's a really powerful card. A lot of people are playing it, but I just find it a little bit awkward sometimes. So that's something I'm going to be looking into. There's a lot of one-offs in this list, a lot of things that I've been playing with and things that could be optimized, like Singleton Murderous Rider, which you get away with because you got the flexibility on Bloodchief's Thirst. Singleton Jwari Disruption, this card has been good sometimes, but it's far more often awkward. Often if you do end up casting it as a spell, you're missing a land drop later, and late in the game neither side is exciting. I got the single Essence Scatter because sometimes you really just need to counter something. It's a nice thing to have access to, but a lot of the time you'd rather just have removal. That's why I'm just running 1. You could maybe chuck a second in the sideboard or somewhere else. I've got a single Drown in the Lock. I like it for its flexibility. But again, it's something you could cut because sometimes this card just does nothing. I found Brazen Borrower really important in dealing with some permanents that sometimes you just don't have another answer to, like a Great Henge or an Embercleave, sometimes even an enchantment. You can bounce it and counter it on the way back down, or in the case of the Great Henge, bounce it, kill off the creature that was letting them cast it for cheap, and just not have to deal with it for another 4 or 5 turns. You got Extinction Event as a wipe, a couple of Hagra Maulings, which I like. I've got the Singleton Palaka Predation, so this is my most recent change. Cutting an Ashiok, putting in Palaka. I just wanted to see how it went, because I found Ashiok kind of awkward more often than not. Seagate Restoration can be really good, other times it's just a land, and that's fine. And the only other thing with the mana base, I've got single Vantress, single Locktwain. They're both good in different situations. It's nice to have access to both. And I've got a preference for the Triomes over the Temples, because these produce both colours of mana, and often the cycling is more valuable than the Scry would be. I've got, between lands and the MDFCs, I've got access to 29 lands in this deck, which is nice. Sometimes still end up not hitting land drops, which is weird. But there we go. Sideboard, pretty classic. More Cling to Dust to deal with the graveyard. I've also got the Erebus's Intervention. The life gain on this can be really nice. Also helps you hit graveyards. Can be a mana sink late in the game, like gain a bunch of life or empty out a graveyard. So between that and Cling to Dust, we've got a few ways to get into the graveyard and deal with things. We've got a couple of Duresses, helpful against rogues and other control lists. Negate, nice to have access to a card like this. 4 Skyclave Shades, obviously good against other control decks, good against rogues, good against like long grindy matchups. There's a lot of things where, a lot of situations where this is good. Mystical Dispute, obviously helpful against other blue-based decks, especially rogue. Shadow's Verdict can be a beating against something like Rakdos Midrange, but it's also 5 mana, which is a lot to pay for a sweeper that only hits 3 or less things. And I've got the extra Shark Typhoon for when you want that. So that's the list in short. I'm still tinkering with this list. I'm gonna probably show off some different versions of Dimir Control. One thing I've often found is that the more expensive cards can get really clunky and difficult to cast. Like I've found myself in the last few weeks in situations where I don't even want to tap out on turn 4 to cast an Extinction Event because there's a couple of different things I need to deal with. Or, you know, I really want to kill a particular creature, but I also want counter magic held up. So I'm going to try to minimize this top end stuff and move more into the 2 and 3 drop slot and see how that goes. You could maybe move Skyclave Shade to the main and use that as just a recurring thing that's a little bit cheaper that you can cast and hold up some protection. Shark Typhoon's really good for that as well, because you've got the option to cycle it in the early and mid game or cast it as a game breaking card later in the game. But yeah, this is my current Dimir Control list. I've got a third version, which is just a couple of tweaks from this list that I'm going to start playing with over the next few days. But yeah, hopefully over the next week or two I'll be able to come up with something I'm a little happier with. This is sort of a mishmash of a few different people's ideas from online, tweaked with things that I found are more or less helpful. But yeah, there's a lot of changes I want to make to this deck. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to actually show you what I've been playing over the last few videos. So I think that's enough about that. Let's jump into the game. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I'm going to take the play. The plan here is just to play a couple extra games with the deck and see how we go before making some big changes, because I haven't touched Arena for about a week, but I feel like I need a more effective answer to Great Henge than 2 Brazen Borrowers. I'm even considering splashing red for Shredded Sails. We're just going to see how we go. So do I Essence Scatter this? I don't think it makes too much difference if I do or don't. What would I discard? Probably Shark Typhoon. And I'm going to hold up Neutralize here, in case we see a Timorant. So I've been seeing a lot more Rakdos Midrange today. Aha, called it. After seeing barely any when I was playing last week, it seems to be all I'm playing against today. I'm going to pay 3 lives so I can have Essence Scatter or Eliminate held up, and or otherwise I can just straight up draw a card. Necrosa. Get rid of Eliminate. So this is going to be difficult for us, but at least we get a bit of card advantage here. So under the circumstances, so if I slam Ashiok, there could be a Rankle and we get punished. But under the circumstances, I think it might be the best idea because I need to start getting a bit of advantage as soon as possible. As I said, like we get punished because I can't Essence Scatter a Rankle next turn. That's a potential punish, but we're going to get ground out by these corruptors sooner or later, so I think just slapping this guy down is not a bad play. Murderous Rider, okay.
My inspiration.
It's fine. Witch's Oven, interesting. Yeah, so I had a feeling like they didn't have anything particularly good there to... Which is why I did go with the Ashiok play. I was mostly right. So they had Heartless Act into Murderous Rider, which is fine, but it means Murderous Rider doesn't become a 2-for-1. Because they spent a card just dealing with the token. Wanted to Essence Scatter instead of Bloodchief's Thirst there so that it doesn't get shuffled back into their library. And Bloodchief's Thirst would have cost 4 on my turn as well. There's a few reasons behind that decision. Okay, so this means they can definitely go down Crofter, which is a little bit unfortunate. It's a pretty bad target to bounce. I'll just draw a couple cards here, gain some life as well. Not bad. So what I can do here is just Bloodchief's Thirst, the Triton, and just hold up all of this nonsense for next turn. That's fine. I don't know why they have this here, because I don't know what they're doing with the food. So they don't have the extra red to bring back a Croxy yet. Ooh. Main phase in it. So honestly at this point, I'm just going to be a bit proactive. Just need to go check the oven. And I'm back. Just trying to slow them down a bit there, put a little bit of pressure on them. It's not much, but it's something. Probably a bad play. Probably should have just drawn the card, but okay, so they've got their second red source and they can start bringing back Cruxes. Sure. Stop Croxer. Nothing but Croxer. Yeah, I'm curious as to what they're doing with the food. Other than just eating it. I mean, this could just be in here as a sacrifice outlet for, like, claim the firstborn or something, but that seems like a little suboptimal. So they obviously sack this. And I'll pay 2 life for a card here. I ain't scared. Bloodchief's Thirst is a pretty nice answer to Croxer. Four cards in their graveyard, 3 of them are Croxer. Rankle. Interesting. Gain a bit of life here and see if I hit another removal spell, because I'd rather not lose the rider as a creature. I do not. This is something though. One, two, three, four. Or just as a 3/3. Well, I guess it actually makes sense to just do it for the most that I can if I'm going to do a larger one. And we're just hoping that isn't a removal spell of my opponent's hand. I feel like it's a land and they were hoping to hit and then bring back Croxa after combat. That could be wrong. Yep. Bonk. Okay, no Croxa. Okay, just eat the food, gain some life. So doesn't seem like a great play for them, but you know, here we are. So I guess I'm doing this. And then this. So I wanted to do that while they were tapped out, so I could then play this. And I've got Neutralize held up for a Croxa. You could even still be in this. Okay. I didn't want to waste it and neutralize there. This is gonna hurt. Yeah, I really should have neutralized that. That was silly. Oh, that was so silly. This is why I'm not doing well with this deck. I make bad plays like that. Just had tunnel vision on neutralizing a Croxa. The Croxa will definitely come out now, so... Oh no, they don't have the red. They do have the red. Do they do it? Do they sack all their other Croxes for this one? And if they do, this neutralize is going to be pretty backbreaking. Sure. And it doesn't really give them much info because I've got these lands, which is what could be holding priority. Okay. They just want to gain life. So I still really just do not know why they have Witches Oven in their deck. So I can just scry here. Don't need Triome. I don't even think I need Heartless Act right now. To neutralize, sure, why not? So start getting some life back. Yeah, so had I neutralized the Claim the Firstborn, they 100% would have Croxed there. And it would have been a couple of turns before I could have answered it, because I would have lost the Blood Chief's Thirst, so... I think it was the right play, but made for the wrong reasons. So this is where they crossed it. Why didn't they just do this last turn? Strange. Okay. That was not a strong turn for them. Scry again. So 7 mana to draw 2 cards doesn't seem like the best deal around right now. I mean, I like the idea of that card, obviously. But, ooh, hello. Yeah, so hard casting this probably just puts this game out entirely, doesn't it? They can't Crox up. obviously don't have a very good hand right now. So because I have this intervention, I should be able to attack with both. I can make something or kill something at instant speed, even though this is also a way to deal with Cruxer. So they can gain life here. Shadow Skull smashing. Sure. Okay. Okay, I do like having an instant speed removal spell. So I'm going to do this for 5. Is there anything I want to get out of my graveyard? I don't think so, because they can't do anything with it. But this way I get a 6/6 shot. Oxy boy. So they're not dead yet, because I can throw this in the oven and eat 2 foods to get up to 7. But if I play this at an end step and they don't have removal, that should be gay. Bone Crusher Giant, sure. Maya Triton, sure. Means they can't eat food now. Yep. Yeah, so that went surprisingly well. So I obviously want another Cling to Dust. I may want my Skyclave Shades here even. I definitely want Shadow's Verdict. Do I want the Shades? I don't know. Shark Typhoon seems good just because I don't have an effective answer to it. I can cut a land because I'm on ye olde draw. Extinction Event seems good. Shadow's Verdict seems good. Some of the single target removal seems a little less good. I don't think Drown in the Lock. I guess they are filling their yard for me, so there's that. Brazen Borrower's not doing much in this match. I might even rather have a Shade than a Borrower. And let's try like this. So they're going to be bringing in their own Skyclave Shades, obviously, which is going to make life harder for me. And going to make me wish I had more Shadow's Verdict. Yeah, I guess this is keepable. Lead on this, because I'm never going to cast it into these two. Kind of wish I had a Soul Guide Lantern or something like that. Okay, so actually maybe I lead on this. This can't be untapped if I need it to be in an emergency. Ooh, the lag again. So just in case it didn't turn up, as I can play this untapped if I need to. Whereas this I can't, so I thought I should play this first. Maze Mine turn? It's what I'd take. Yep. I might as well counter this, because they're going to take a counter spell out of my hand anyway, you know? Okay, there's their red. It's a very black heavy version of this deck. Into Dust is nice here. Cracks up. Have they played a land this turn? They have. So there's no way they can bring back Crocs up. But it's also going to be a while before I can fling it. So what do I discard? So this way I've still got a counterspell held up if they have a sick follow-up play, but it looks like they do not. So I'm going to nab that now. Just so I know it's gone. The escape costing on this is a bit weird. So normally the mana cost is low and the card cost is high, or vice versa, but this is like both kind of high-ish. Kill, do nothing, I can scry, suits me fine. I actually kind of like both of these. Hit my land drop. Of course, if I crack it, it ruins my scry, but that's life. Yeah, I really think they were hoping to get that Croxer back based on how the last couple turns have gone. Oh, juicy. So this is unfortunate, it means I have to still not crack my Fabled Passage. Although I may have to cast Neutralize next turn. Ah, okay. So they just have an entirely reactive hand. So I can afford to just play this out as a land then. And depending what they play next turn, I may have to crack and get the Neutralize. Otherwise I can let it resolve and Murderous Rider it. I don't know why they've kept so much creature removal in against me. That's just bad playing. It's just poorly played. And obviously they don't want to lock tween themselves. Yeah, I mean, Bloodchief's Thirst I understand, but Heartless Act is a bad king. Ooh. Juicy. Very juicy. So do I let the shields down for one turn to play this? If I wait another turn, I can have the land. Yeah, so I think just play patiently for now. This is a tap land though. But I might be able to scry up an untap land, slap this down and have negate held up. Yeah, I should have scryed that to the bottom, that was silly. Witch's Oven. I think I negate this. Just because it does blank a lot of my removal, helps them gain life. Actually, that's silly, I don't care about their life gain. Like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Take it back. Okay, so I'm going to crack this here. Because I don't actually want this on top anymore. Hey, more Neutralize, more Heartless Act. I do kind of want both of these. Okay, so given the gate's gone, I think I just slap this down, let my shields down for one turn. I've got some destruction if they play a creature, and the neutralize is not super vital. Okay. See what they choose here. Discard. So I'll discard the neutralize because I'm about to draw another one, and it's also the one card in my hand they know about. So I could play this and cast it this turn, but that again leaves my shields down completely. Long game so far. No, I think I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine without that in my life. Thanks though. Okay. Bloodchief's Thirst. I bet they can't help themselves. Yep. Card disadvantage for them. There's nothing in there I really need to hit. Yeah, no, I think I just do this. Hold on. My opponent is drawn so badly. But I also don't, like, they also just sideboarded terribly. Like, they have tried to become the control deck. And I don't know why they would do that. Okay, so what's the play here? They claim this, attack, and then Shadow Skull Smashing. I mean, sure, if that's what they want to do. It's a pretty lame turn for them. It's basically just discarding their hand to gain 2 life. So I'm going to use this just to, you know, use my mana. Okay, and they skip it up. It was a strange game. Alright, and we are back. I was not expecting to win that game. I'm glad that we did. It was pretty fun. Went on a little bit longer than I expected as well. I was actually early in the game thinking of just like throwing in the whole match and moving on, because I acknowledge it is a bad matchup for this deck, but it was really nice to get the win. Obviously our opponent got a little bit unlucky with like red mana to recast Croxa a couple of times, and then they also just played too conservatively, like not bringing back Croxa and trying to get tricky, thinking that I had an answer, when, you know, sometimes like I had an answer but not a particularly good one. It still would have been a 2-for-1 and they could have brought it back again. So there's definitely misplays on my opponent's part, and keeping all that removal in their deck post sideboard when I'd only shown them a handful of things. You know, our opponent made some bad choices, but it was a fun game. It was nice to get the win. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video, and as I said, stay tuned because I'm going to be doing some work with this deck, and I'm excited to show you when I get something that I'm quite happy with. Stay brilliant, guys.